For me, this is the hardest time for a garden. And you would look at the tomatoes and the basil that's well over 3 feet tall and standing proud, and you'd wonder, how is that possible? Well, because of the tomatoes and the basil standing 3 feet tall. This means that we have to process a lot of pesto coming up this weekend. This means we have to keep tabs on the tomatoes. And quite frankly, I hate wasting food. I hate wasting tomatoes. This year, it's been just such a big bumper crop, and with some of the things going on in life and having to get away from the house for a while, it's just been crazy trying to keep up. Because things like this happen. Rotten tomatoes. This year, I didn't put a lot of time in the garden. I was trying to add it up, maybe around 10 hours for the entire season. And a lot of that was prepping the soil and putting up the cages. Once I planted, it was kind of on autopilot, and it's really been great. I picked off some of the flowers here, but I haven't even had to do that a lot this year. The weather, the temperature, the rain, it's just been perfect. And I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, to waste excellent homegrown organic tomatoes, it's just hard on the soul. Mid-September is peak season for gardens. This is when they're really putting out peppers, tomatoes, and an abundance of basil. Nothing's browned out yet, although the leaves are starting to go, as you can see here. But as far as the fruit goes, it's just coming at you faster than any other time of the year. When you get your first tomatoes, you're kind of cherishing them and you're fighting the battles with the birds and the squirrels. Now, it's like the birds and the squirrels are either eating them and we don't know, and it's not a big deal because we got tons. I would say we got 40 pounds of tomatoes sitting on the vine with about 10 plants. So let me take you around and kind of show you the results of this year's garden for comparison purposes. Here is our peach tree. We got about 80 to 90 pounds of quality fruit and lost probably another 20 pounds of fruit to critters and just couldn't get it in time. The trunk is looking great. It's kind of recovering from some of the issues that it had before. I see this is peeling now. The bark is expanding a little too quickly, but the quality of the leaves and the branches is so much better than ever before. And that's a result of the spray program that we instituted this year and the thinning of the fruit. I'll post up there links to those videos. Here's rosemary. It's hit or miss in this area. We get just a cold enough temperatures that sometimes it doesn't survive the winter, but it's looking pretty good. Ultimately, we'd love a giant bush of it. Sage and the basil this year, oh my gosh. Never had basil like this. Now, we are getting some yellowing here down on the bottom, but at this time of year, that always seems to happen. But look at the basil production. Phenomenal. Like I said before, we've lost some tomatoes. Some of it is just because we can't get to them in time, and that's just real frustrating. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's just spoilage because it's been on the vine for too long. But life happens. Romas this year, another phenomenal success. They're really putting out quality fruit. This is a super sweet. Sometimes we put it over the railing. This year we just kind of let it flop over and see how it would do. An attempt at a low maintenance garden. These things spoil fast. Oh, but I tell you what, they're better than grapes. They are so sweet. And this plant is just basically taking over this whole area. Our potted basil, for those who have pots on decks and things like that, this was leading the pack over this. Now they're about the same. This guy caught up. This is some parsley, flat leaf variety, I believe. Some of our standard tomatoes really didn't do well this year. Not really sure why. And just for comparison purposes, $3 Better Boy plant that was planted a week before a $6 Cherokee Purple plant. Cherokee Purple really didn't put out much this year. Or it was a timing issue and we didn't get them when they were prime. Here's another one that kind of failed us this year and never has before, and that's a Mr. Stripey. Very few tomatoes this year. I know people are going to comment on this stuff and how I probably should have taken care of that. And we've never had that much on Mr. Stripey before. But we're getting towards the end of the season and this kind of happens to all the plants. If you know of a way to keep this from happening, then by all means, post in the comments below. I'd love to hear some expertise in that area. Here's the Better Boy, and it's lost one of its few tomatoes there on the ground. Black cherries are serving us well. They're putting out incredible amount of fruit, and unlike a lot of cherry tomatoes, they kind of last longer sitting on the table. You don't have to eat them right away. And they don't have a tendency to split if you get a lot of rain, where a lot of the cherry tomatoes will split almost overnight or within hours. Here's another super sweet plant. Delicious. Just wonderful. We cut these in half or quarter of them, put them in with a little basil, and you got a nice cold pasta salad. Last year we had to tie all the basil off, and they were all around 2 feet tall. This year they're going past 3 feet, and they look like mini trees. Here's the top view of the garden from the deck. You can see the trellis system where I tie off jute line between all the cages. It's just been working great, just like it always does, and keeps all the cages in check. None of them fall down, and allows the plants to grow vertical. Some people will say, why are you growing them so tall? That's just personal experience, and we seem to get the best production that way. Thumbs up and comments always appreciated. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in gardening, home repairs, evaluations of sports gear, evaluations of all sorts of things, designs of all kinds, making and breaking stuff. I even do costumes, cosplay, and props. Check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know what you're gonna see.